Hello Mitron, welcome to my channel GS with Rahul. So here in this lecture I am going to continue this summary of class 6 science NCERT, and in this lecture I am going to take you through the chapter number 4th of class 6 science NCERT. So we have already done with the first 3 chapter of this class 6 science NCERT, and in this lecture we are going to delineate and describe the chapter number 6th of class 6 science NCERT. This lesson is presented by me Rahul, and I am a BTech mechanical engineering student. You can see me here, and before proceeding further I would like to bring this one thing to your kind notice, that in my previous video of Karnataka's Karnataka assembly deadlock, I mentioned one thing, that in the selection of the CM by the governor of that particular state, in any particular state they should follow the 6 or 5 level approach. But I consider this thing from one of the eminent website from for UPSC preparation, but when I go through the bare text of the particular RS Sarkariya Commission report, on the basis of which I describe that thing, when I go through the bare script of that particular commission report, then I find that there should be a different approach. There should be a approach in which the member should the governor should consider the number of signs, means number of signature, that different political parties, means the single largest party with the support of others. So so if we consider, if we summarize all thing, that then the single largest party with the support of others, this was the proper thing that was present there. So as for that criteria only, BJP formed the government in Goa and Manipur, instead of Congress having the large number of seats, or like that. So similarly, on that ground, the Karnataka should also go with the governor should also go with the alliance of post poll alliance of Congress and JDS. So I want to mention this thing here, and I beg your pardon for the same, because I read that thing in one of the eminent website of UPSC preparation, but but the things are quite different, because it is quite political issue. Because if we consider that thing, then how BJP from the government in Goa and Manipur? So let's separate and let's bifurcate the politics from polity, and let's study only polity for our examination. So that's why I clear this thing here. So I beg your pardon, I am really sorry for that thing, that I mentioned that thing and I misinformed this thing to you. But as there are many sites, and I really consider it from the one of the best site for UPSC preparation. I am not taking the name, but please pardon me for the same. So let's get started this in this chapter number 3rd of this class 6 science NCERT, sorry, chapter number 4th. So the name of the chapter is sorting materials into groups. So this is quite a basic chapter, that what we can see in our surrounding, it is made up in, there are many objects around us. So we can just similarly we can bifurcate, and we can associate these things in a different groups. So that's why it is all about these things. So as you know that there are metals, there are non-metals, there are conductors, there are insulators. So we just put the things in a particular space. We just put the particular thing in just like the library. Like in library we have a different department, different type of books, like physics book, chemistry book, and other books. Similarly, on the same ground we are going to differentiate the metals and objects around us, means object would be classified further. So first of all, there are some basic steps of some common sense sort of thing, and there is large number of paragraphs related to this first heading, but this is not important for your examination point of view. So the extract of this chapter is this only. So I am going to bifurcate, and I am going to explain all these things to you. So first of all, object around us. So object around us, an object is used many material to form. So for example, we have a particular object and it uses many objects. So for example, I am seeing the laptop in front of my eyes. So this object is made up of many materials, like there are different materials. There is LED, there is a different screen sort of thing, there is keyboard, there is mouse, and there is earphone that I am using for preparation of this lecture. Similarly, object is made up of different type of materials. There are many different materials inside the laptop also. I am able to see the paper, I am able to see the books in front of me, and these are all made up of different type of things. For example, there are many materials that are used to make these books, like these paper, like the ink that is used in the machinery for preparation for printing of these books. Similarly, any object that you can see around you is made up of different materials. And a material, a single material is used to form different objects. So a single material can also be used to form different object. For example, you can just suppose any of your examination example what you can see in front of you. So for example, the screen. So a screen is used in different places, like laptop have a screen, the television have a screen, and mobile, you are using the mobile for YouTube for this preparation of your GS. So it is also made up of a same screen. So screen, a material is used, a single material is used for the formation of many object, and a object has used many materials. So this is quite basic and nobody will ask you this thing. And apart from that, properties of materials. So here the gold lies. Here you need to remember these things. So first of all, appearance. So there are different appearance. So today in my examination also I face one question regarding the surface texture in mechanical measurement and metrology. Similarly, materials have different appearance. So some are quite different from others. Wood is quite different from metal, metal is quite different from non-metal, mercury is different from sodium, and everything is different. So, okay, so you need to remember, and you need to remember this appearance sort of thing. And apart from that, the another property that we have is luster. So luster means the gentle sound, or luster means the gentle sheer or soft glow. So in metals we find lusterness. So luster means the luster means the property of the metal by which we can observe the shining of the surface. So we can't find that shine in the wood and in other non metals. So you need to remember the luster. And apart from that, other property is malleability. So malleability is the ability of a material to convert it into the sheets. So malleable, so you can correlate the double L. So L means seed. ये seed जैसा लग रहा है कि नहीं लग रहा. Similarly, you need to remember malleability. So malleability is all about this thing that you can do this thing, and malleability is all about the process of conversion of a material into a sheets. So if you are able to make a material into thin sheets by the compressive force, by beating it, then it would be called as malleable. And ductility is the another thing. For example, if you are able to convert a material into the long wires, then the material is said to be ductile. So metals are luster, metals have a luster tendency. Metals are malleable, means metal can be beaten into the thin sheets. And non-metals, if you beat them, they will break down. You can't make the sheets of wood. Okay, so you need to remember this thing. Similarly, ductility. So metals like copper wire, you have must seen copper wires. The silver wire also are also there. So these are quite expensive. So copper, aluminium, all these things, all these metals are able to convert into the thin wires, and this property of conversion into thin wires is known as ductility. And apart from that, hardness. So as you know that metals are quite hard than as compared to the non-metals and other things. So apart from that, there is a different phenomena called Mohs scale, MOHS, Mohs scale for mineral hardness. So this is the thing that you tend to forget if you are not covering the class 6th science NCERT, because you will not find this thing in the higher classes. Like if you study a pH scale in class 6th or class 7th, you can leave that point, because you will find it in 10th class, in 11th class, in senior classes. So it is quite basic. But when it comes to these things like this Mohs scale, you will not find this anywhere else. And if you find this anywhere else in the compilation of any good coaching institute, then also you need to read 100 extra pages, means you need to you need to waste your time and energy in the irrelevant things that may not be asked in the UPSC, SSC and other examination, because NCERT is the first choice of any examination. NCERT is quite important, so that's why you need to summarize all these things. You need to understand these basic steps, because if you are in UG or in PG, then also there is a chance that you can't even remember this Mohs scale, you can't even heard this Mohs scale. So that's why I am presenting here this thing. And this Mohs scale is basically just like pH scale, which is pH scale is divided to from 1 to 14, that gives the acidic and basic behavior. Similarly, Mohs scale, it is divided into 10 parts, means there is a counting from 1 to 10, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and as the number increases, the hardness increases. So what they do in Mohs scale, they do the scratch test. So scratch test means what? They scratch the surface of these material. So once they scratch the surface of the material, we find this thing that something that the if the material is if we are unable to scratch the material easily, we will give the number at higher level. So from you need to remember these tables, you need to remember this thing that because it is given in the NCERT. So 10 number is diamond and 1 number is talc. So you need to remember that talc or whatever you want to say it. So you need to remember this table because it could be asked in the ascending or descending order in your examination. So talc is here, gypsum, calcite, fluorite, apatite, orthoclase, quartz, topaz, corundum and this diamond. So you need to remember this Mohs scale, and you need to remember this order if you are preparing for any examination, because there may be high probability of asking this question in that examination. And apart from that, soluble and insoluble. So some materials are soluble, some are insoluble. So you need to remember these things, that these are also the properties, that some are soluble and some are insoluble. Similarly, some are transparent and some are translucent. So when it comes to transparent, so transparent is something that from which you can see from the from that thing. For example, some windows, the glass windows of a car are transparent. So windows of car, the window glass of the car is transparent, so that you can see from it, so you can see through it. And apart from that, translucent, for example, take a paper. So as you can see this paper here, and if I spill the oil on that paper, in this paper, as you can see here this paper, so if I spill some oil on that paper, then what happen? The light can pass through it. So the light can pass through it, but I can't see through it. So this property is known as translucent. And opaque is the another thing. Opaque means that you can't see the away from that particular thing. So as you can see, if you can't spill the in this oil on that paper, it is quite opaque, you can't see the other page of this book. So you need to remember these things, that opaque, transparent, translucent, these are also the properties. Soluble, insoluble are also the properties. Appearance, luster, malleable, ductile, these are quite basic things. You need to remember this thing. And you need to remember this Mohs scale. I highlight this Mohs scale because I am not able to find this thing in the later classes. I am a science student, but still in class 12th, class 10th, class 9th, I am not able to find this thing again apart from this class 6th. So that's why I highlight this thing. And you need to remember this Mohs scale, and you need to remember this order. This is the place where gold exactly lies, if I say for class 6 NCERT. So you need to remember this thing, and you need to understand all these things. I am thinking that I am hoping that all these things are clear to you. You can subscribe to my channel GS with Rahul for the regular updates in the upcoming lectures, and I am going to complete this NCERT along with the NCERT of class 6 history, geography, and I will cover all these things one after the another in 1 year or in 2 years. So I will cover definitely. So stay tuned and please subscribe to my channel GS with Rahul. Thank you.